whatever type of trader you are, like play around with different firms. Like I think that is super important. Like,
but I do think like when you compare the model of old school live prop to now, the difference is really just that, live market and education. Very few props now care about educating their customer, because if their customer is too educated, what happens?
I think if you have the skill set and you've already taken a payout, you absolutely should be copy trading.
So you think I'm being stupid?
Stop putting the tightrope in between two buildings and falling off and dying. Put it between two trees, walk across it a bunch of times, and then start to slowly raise it up.
$48,000 gone in a year and a half when I started trading. She saw it. She was with me through that. She probably would say I would have been much better off trading a prop account, spending 20 grand learning.
I'm a huge advocate of, if you are in a live account with Topstep or Top One, any of these brokers, you should be able to take daily payouts at that point. We all have tried that.
I think that advice might break the internet. Traders, welcome back to the Day Trading Show. We've got a very special episode. So we're gonna run through this a little bit different. Normally I'm interviewing you guys one-on-one. We've done a lot of one-on-one podcasts. Today, we're doing panels. So this should be very exciting, especially for the people that missed our seminar last week. So Zach, I'm gonna introduce you first, then we'll go around. For those of you that don't know Zach is my twin brother, or at least he was until he cut his hair. Zach is known for being, I think, an order flow, volume profile type trader. I know you do a lot of different stuff, but mainly short-term time frame. You really made that clear at the seminar. I think people really took from you the whole win rate versus risk reward conversation. So I think that's like an area now that you're kind of making yourself known for, which is great, bro. So happy to have you.
Absolutely, man. Happy to be here.
Thanks, bro. Joey Morgan, most of you know him through the YouTube, the news, keeping everybody updated on prop firm news, changes in the rules and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
But today we're gonna talk about payouts from both of you and Tanner. So Joey, glad you're here. Tanner, my younger brother, probably most well known for deadlifting 700 pounds.
I would say that's probably about right.
But also being a fantastic trader. So I think today's podcast should be super insightful for the guys listening, because a lot of people look to you guys as influencers. And often through that influence, your points that I think you guys really want to make, they get snippeted, they get cut into little sound bites, and that always doesn't get the point across. So my job today is to ask you guys good questions and give you the space to get those points across, where hopefully the next 90 minutes or so, we get a panel out that shows new traders how to take more payouts. Ideally, there's comments on this video in a year from now saying, this video helped me understand how to play the prop firm game better. So let's jump into it. I'll go with you first, buddy. What is the most important factor when assessing what prop firm to choose?
Yeah, so I think off the bat, you definitely want to look at the rule set, right? You want to look at your trading strategy, your approach as a whole, and make sure that you're not going to have to adjust too much to fit within that. So with instant funded, which I'm super bullish on, you do have to look at the consistency rule. Outside of anybody that's really a home run hitter, where you're running a really, really low win rate, high risk reward, you're going to be able to make that work. But I think it comes down to assessing the rule set, what you need to do to get a payout, going through the frequently asked questions page. Like a lot of guys just read through that home page and they don't realize on almost every firm, you've got real clear rules under that frequently asked questions page, usually with examples. I think it's our job as traders to dig through that in detail and understand everything that you need to do to follow to potentially get to a payout in the first place. Set yourself up there from the start. And then along with that, just who's behind the firm, right? Faces, what do the reviews look like? You know, what's the payout situation, right? People getting paid out fast, customer support. So that's what I'd be assessing right off the bat with a firm.
What do you think, Joey?
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think one of the biggest things too is how's the customer support, right? Customer support has been a big factor in the prop firms. And can traders, when they have issues, when they have problems, can they reach out to customer support and get a timely response, get their problems fixed quickly, right? And another thing too is, you know, when I spoke at the seminar, I mentioned that every trader has their own trading personality. And like Zach said, looking at the rules and seeing if their rules match how they are as a trader, how they are as a trader, like their personality, that's a huge deal.
100%. I feel like we can kind of get into that too about identifying your personality and what prop firm aligns with that best, right?
100%.
Some firms don't even offer instant funded. Some firms do offer it. So I think there's so many different challenges. We were even talking about one at dinner last night that might come out, right? There's so many different ways. How do you know which one is best for you? So we'll crack that nut. Anything you want to add on like how to pick the best firm for you? Traders, real quick, a pause from today's podcast to thank our first sponsor, Top One Futures. You've probably heard about them by now. Top One has been a sponsor of this show for over 2 years. We've got a link in the description that's going to save you over 35% on any challenge with Top One Futures. Just use the code ASFX and that'll save you the biggest discount that they're offering at the time of you watching this. Big shout out to Clay for being here and also for helping us make this podcast happen. A big thank you to our second sponsor, TradeZella. If you're not tracking your trades, you're falling behind. I can save you on the monthly plan and the yearly plan, whichever works better for you, but we would highly recommend that you start tracking your trades today using TradeZella. I'm a big fan of Umar. They have been nothing but supportive and helpful to me and my community. So we want to save you guys money and we want to get you tracking today. Use the link in the description and you will be able to save either 10% or 20% on your monthly or yearly plan. Now let's get back to the podcast.
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head. What I was going to say, it really depends on like your style as a trader, right? So there's some firms out there that do like the intraday trailing drawdown. I've tried those accounts. They're not my thing. I don't like it. So it's like, if you like to hold positions longer and you deal with a firm that does intraday trailing drawdowns, you're going to get swiped and, probably stopped more often and lose accounts versus an end of day drawdown, because they're two different, like complete different things. And I think that's a huge part when it comes to this is what fits your style, right? What makes sense to you? Like if you were a long-term day trader where you're holding positions all day, that intraday trailing drawdown, you could be right, but because of that model, it doesn't fit your trading style. So you have to think like what works for you and then pick a firm based on that.
Yeah. With payouts as something the listeners will probably want to hear about, who have you guys taken the most payouts with? Do you want to start?
Yeah, so Topstep overall, because they've been around the longest, and that was like who I got into the game with originally. Then Tradeify and Take Profit Trader so far, and then I'm working on Top One.
I know. Me and Joe
working on Top One. It's going to be Topstep for me. I got pretty frequent with payouts this year, which has been nice. From
even
Topstep.
last week at the seminar. You payout.
Knocked one out last week. I mean that's been fairly new for me. I really haven't been back-to-back months of taking payouts, and it spiraled to multiple in 1 month from Topstep, which is cool. But I've been working away at Top One. I'm really bullish on that rule set. Really enjoying trading the accounts, and sometimes it's funny the way that the psychology and mindset works. Where that when you start not caring so much about it, not putting pressure on it, just seems to roll in, right? We all know that game. Not to turn this into the mindset psychology talk, but that's what happened a lot, I believe, this year for me, just over the last couple months, even with Topstep. Working my way towards Top One coming up soon.
What about you?
Yeah, I would say majority of my payouts have probably come from Topstep, just like Tanner said, they've been around the longest. But over the past month or two, I'd say it's really been diversified with my payouts. I've taken payouts from Apex, Top One, Tradeify. And so we're just looking to build that arsenal, get those payouts rolling in.
Okay, let's just get into this then.
Yeah.
People think that because we push a firm, you push this firm that week, you push this firm this week, that we would only trade with those firms. That's not the case.
No, not
we're
at
still
all.
traders trying to make as much money as we can.
We're just trying to get a payday.
Just trying to get a payday, bro. So I think you have to play the game with the right amount of care, which I do want to talk about.
Yep.
But you mentioned you're playing with different firms that have very different rules. I mean, Apex probably is the standout, like you mentioned with that trailing drawdown.
Yep.
How do you wear multiple hats and get payouts from multiple firms when they have different rules? Because that seems tricky.
You just have to adjust your trading style, right? With Apex, they have that intraday trailing drawdown, right? And I actually made a YouTube video where I talked about how I play the intraday. And all that really comes down to is taking profit at the peak of your P&L, right? I mean, having a set amount of points that you're looking for, set a manual take profit at that level and just let it take you out, right? Just be disciplined enough to let it take you out. Whereas like these other firms that don't have that intraday trailing drawdown, you can let your winners go a little bit because you're not too afraid to let the price come down and take you out, right? And so, I would say the one downside to that intraday is if you do let profit come back down and your next trade is red, you're getting very close to that drawdown limit, and so it can be kind of tough.
Do you feel like that's like a gotcha rule where they're trying to make it so you don't get payouts, or do you feel like it's just the rules that they've set and the way that they want to play the game?
I think it's the way they want to play the game. I think it's their house, their rules, right? I think that's they want to set that way. They want to force traders to take profits. I think that at the end of the day, That's what they want to do.
Yeah, and I think that's just the name of the game, right? Every spot, every firm's going to have their own rule set. It's up to you first on the front end. I'll talk like just on two little nuanced pieces, right? The consistency rules, just started to mention that. That's not going to be for everybody. I do think most guys can work within a modest 20% consistency rule, but there's going to be firms out there like Topstep where technically there isn't that consistency rule. If you are the hold to the close, that might fit better for you. Another one could be like the minimum hold time, minimum trade time rule, where if you are a hyper scalper, which is not common, right? Some of these extremes, you could find difficulty, right? But same deal, intraday trailing drawdown. So I'd say for guys starting out maybe, or just kind of working their way towards focusing on one firm, definitely identify the one that's going to fit with you best, your strategy, your approach naturally, right? What are you doing now that's starting to work? Because you should have something that's working, reason to believe you can take money out of the market. Find a firm that's going to fit with that. And then as you grow, I think a lot of us want to continue to leverage more capital, right? More, sim capital, diversify risk, continue to trade on with more firms, copy trade. A lot of us are, into the copy trading piece. And as you do that, like Joey said, I think it's just adjusting, right? You have to find what you can do. Maybe at Topstep, top one is not going to fly at Apex, and vice versa. That type of deal.
100%.
I want to touch on the consistency rule because I think this is a really big thing a lot of people either complain about or some people just accept it. And for me personally, when I switched over to a firm that had a consistency rule, I noticed one problem with Topstep is like, especially once you get so many accounts, there's no consistency rule, but some days you're like, oh, if I YOLO this here, this might go up, I might make 10 grand today or something like that. And then it's kind of easier to blow accounts and you never feel satisfied enough. And I think that's actually a problem a lot of people have because you hear it all the time, right? What's one of the worst things that happen? You have a great few trades, you're up maybe $1,000, $2,000 in the day, and you just want more. And then all of a sudden you go down and now you're only up 500. And mentally, you're trying to fight your way back to that high watermark. And that is like the most frustrating thing. So the consistency rule for me, which has really, really helped, has been like, it doesn't really matter how much I make on the day because I do have like a max win on the account I can make. And if I hit that, like all the time I see a trade that's, this keeps going and going, but I'm like, whatever, I hit my max win for the day. I don't have to stress about it or think about it. So for me, it personally helps because I did notice like, I sometimes have that greed in me where I'm like, I want more, I want more, I want more. Yep. So it's definitely whatever type of trader you are, like play around with different firms. Like I think that is super important. Like there is no one size fits all. They all have different benefits. So the reason the prop firm game exists is because all these firms are competing with each other, but they all have a little bit different rules. So it's like figure out what makes sense to you. Try different firms. There's nothing wrong with it. We all have tried tons of them and figure it out from there.
I think that advice might break the internet because people will think that you're just going to push the firm where you get the highest affiliate commission. But you just said, find the firm that's right for you. Where the people who buy their Twitter followers and try to push us to firms that are untrustworthy or scammy in a way, those people I think would never say something like that. That is the best advice you could give. So then that leads me to my, I think, beginner trader question. Joey, you tell me first. Should a new trader, you kind of touched on this, should a new trader start trading with a prop firm or should they start trading with their own capital?
You should 100% start with a prop firm. A newer trader, this trading takes a long time, right, to make money from, right? And so some people take 2, 3, 4 years to even see any sort of profits from 100% from trading. And so if you think about it over those 2 to 3 years, how much money you're putting up in your own capital, how much you're probably going to lose, right? These prop firms offer a low barrier to entry. Like we can get into the space, get into trading at a very cheap cost, right? We're talking $100, $50, $200 versus putting $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 up of our own money. I did it too. Yep. I did it too.
Or 50,000.
I spent 50 grand. Like I was 50. Ask my wife, $48,000 going.
Yeah, and so you think about it, if you do that over 2, 3, 4 years, I mean, you're gonna go homeless, right? I mean, there's people that lose a lot of money putting their own money up, right? Especially if they're not good, they don't have a strategy. These prop firms offer a great opportunity for new traders to come in, like I said, that low barrier to entry and get into these markets.
Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's two pieces because I also think it can help you, like Tanner was saying, the consistency rule, really tighten up on risk, right?
Absolutely.
If you're in the live environment, it's really just no holds barred. It's open to loss, and so. I think the natural progression for a beginner trader, at least my humble opinion, would be coming from demo, starting to grab some consistency, right? Just feeling like you're getting that confidence, and then you're going to lose, right? I don't know anybody that goes to a live or prop account and knocks it out of the park and then continues to knock it out of the park. So if you're going to lose the least, pay the least amount of tuition that you possibly can, and do that with prop firms. And side benefit to that, you're going to be forced to exercise some consistency, some risk management, right? To play within those rules. So I think it's a great starting point. And again, like Joey said, these accounts are inexpensive. Whether you want to go with a challenge account or an instant funded, they've got small size now. The barrier is very, very low. If you're going to have to run through some of those, which almost everybody does, it's not in a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 live account where the entire account is on the line that day, which is just tough.
I mean, I've had those days where you have unlimited daily loss because it's your own money. At least at the prop firm, they're going to stop you at some point, whether you have a max daily loss yourself or the firm itself has a max daily drawdown. I think Project X does a really good job at this too. So it's like you compare how I got into trading, which was with IML, and you felt like that was a good way to get into it at the time because it was like, if IML is going to teach me and my friends how to trade, we'll all make money. That is a terrible way to get into trading compared to going with a prop firm first and going with, like you said, a small amount of real capital to buy yourself some sim capital and prove that you can do it. How should new traders, you give us a first one here, how should new traders view failing prop accounts? Because I see a lot of traders holding too much worth in that first account or the first 5 accounts. They don't want to fail. So how do you think new traders should look, or even not just new, just traders that are not profitable yet? How should they view failure in the prop trading environment?
It's part of the process. You're going to fail, like especially in the beginning. So it's actually cool that you don't have to pay that much in order to try to do what we're all doing, right? And the cool part as well is the challenge accounts. Like I do think challenge accounts are great. If someone comes to me in my DMs, they're like, hey, I want to get into this. Should I buy an instant straight to funded? I'm honest. I'm like, dude, you're just starting. No, buy a challenge account. Spend $50, $100, $150, whatever it is. And you keep your risk low because you're probably, I don't want to tell them like, you're probably going to blow it right away. But I also say, yeah, you're probably going to blow it right away because that's what it takes. Because like, I talked about this last weekend at the seminar is the whole doctor-lawyer analogy, right? Like we all are traders. We've been doing this for 5-6 years, and finally you're starting to make like decent money doing it. And there's always levels of scale. You want to be a doctor or become a lawyer, you have to go to school for like 5 to 6, 8 years, 10 years, whatever it is. Trading, there's no barrier to entry. You just start. But if you're a doctor, you don't just start doing surgery right away. You have to go through school and do all this stuff first, and then finally you get the knife and you can do all that. So with trading, it's like there's no barrier to entry. You start right away. You might as well do a very low risk like challenge account, practice account from there, build a little bit of consistency, try to understand it, then maybe go the instant sim fun route.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think failure is part of the process too, right? I mean, we all go through it, and I would rather be blowing through challenge accounts on my own personal account. But I think this game is very much and just like with anything, is a volume game, right? It's putting in the reps, right? Just like how you do with strength training, right? It's putting in the reps, and you do enough of it, eventually things start to click a little bit. You get a little bit better each time you fail. And so I think using these prop firm accounts to essentially put in that tuition, right? Put in that failure, put in those reps is just a huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, these guys hit the nail on the head. And again, I think it's that you're going to have to pay some tuition, right? If you're going to go to college, you want to be, start to get good at anything, you're going to fail first. Keep that limited as much as you possibly can. And just building off of what you started to say about Project X, some of the additional features that we have within these prop firms, daily loss limits, I think that stuff can help. How I would look to it, failing prop firms, kind of going through this, I would attempt as a beginner trader not to fail. I would set a game plan, right? Set your risk management, personal daily loss limit, trades per day, but at the same time recognize you are going to lose accounts, right? These aren't live accounts where if this is your entire trading capital in one account, it would be catastrophic. You'd be out of the game if you lost the account. These prop accounts, we have to also look at the real capital, the bankroll that we are putting to invest in them or, to spend per month, per week. So I do think there's a balance there. Beginner traders, I think, should be more cautious. They should take their time, limit their expenses as much as they can. As you do start to progress, it's an interesting dynamic that I have to deal with myself where you do kind of get hooked on to these $200 accounts, maybe $50 in, $150 activation or $300 account total, something like that. And you do have to recognize that you're going to lose them, right? We are dealing with tight drawdowns for the most part. on the way to getting more consistency and getting towards payouts. So there's a balance there, but it's exercising good risk management and also looking at that bigger picture of risk management. You know, how much are you looking to invest in this journey as you go, per week, per month, per year? You know, what are your limits going to be on your prop firm spend, if you want to call it that, because maybe the investment's not the right term. And then risk management, obviously, within your trading, within each account. But yeah, not getting overly attached to them where, you know, you're like, you made a couple of jokes like, you know, I'm all pissed off and I'm yelling at my wife because I lost my Monopoly money today, you know, my sim money. You know, you want to take it seriously, but at the same time, it's not a large size live account. You're working with tight drawdowns, especially on the smaller accounts if you're starting out. And you're going to go through some of those.
You read my mind. My advice always to people is like, figure out how much money you want to spend per month on prop challenges. Just keep it simple. Like without pissing off your wife, how much can you spend before we start to cause a problem? Cool. Now figure out which firm fits you best. Great. Now, if you fail the first couple, because you said you could spend, let's just say $1,000 a month, right? Don't hold them too tightly. And I think by not holding them too tightly, I and you guys have found the line between taking it seriously enough to get payouts and also not caring that much when you fail an account. Because how this part of the conversation started was like, we've all got traders in our community that go crazy when they fail an account. We also have people in our community that trade sim accounts in drawdown, trying to dig them out of drawdown for months. I'm very against that. If your sim account is close to blown, torch it and start again as long as you can afford to. Do you guys disagree with that?
No, I agree with that too. I think it's just protecting your mental capital.
Right.
If when you're so far behind a sim account and it's just on the verge of being torched.
But let's just say, like, you tell me, Joey, as a student, you come into the group and you're like, yo, I've been trading this account with Top One for 6 months. I was in drawdown for 2 and I dug out. Nobody cares. Like, you don't get paid for that. There's no money on you. Now you still have to go make the profit target. Yeah. Do you ever go at these consistency rules and hit them really hard? Let's get into, like, we have a couple of firms like Tradeify and Top One have a 20% consistency rule on their instant funded. Do you ever go at it and just go full max loss, full max win? Or do you guys back your way in based on when you want to take the first payout?
Yeah, I can start with that one.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably a little bit more conservative because some guys will go, hey, I want to hit that max daily, profit target, max profit target, and I'm going to risk the max daily loss,
which is like 3,700.
Yeah. I think what has worked well, or at least started to work well for me, and what I see a lot of guys doing, is pre-plan it on the front end. What's your goal, right? If it's to get to $7,500, 20%, $1,500 per day. So that's your personal daily profit target. Maybe set that in Project X if you're trading on Top One, and then how much are you willing to risk per day to get there, right? Is it 1,500 to make 1,500? Is it 1,000 to make that, 1,500? And if you pre-plan that way based on when you want to actually take a payout, how much profit you want to have in the account before you take a payout, do the math on the front end, set your personal daily profit target, set your personal daily loss limit. You have a really clear-cut plan to get you towards that. You should have some reason to believe you can do that, right? Some kind of edge in the market. But if you don't do that, I think you leave the door open for just everything in between, right? This kind of just sideways emotional trading tilt that comes in. And what those numbers are going to be different for everybody, right? Guys that are more confident, more aggressive, they might say, yeah, man, I'm not expecting to hit a DLL and I'm going to put $3,000 on the line every day to only make 1,500. That kind of negative risk reward when we look at a total day. But they're still going to pre-plan it, right? They have an idea of that upper limit. And again, if you come in and just, hit a banger day, hold on to a trade, you put up a huge number, you're not doing yourself any favors. So that comes down to that pre-planning, understanding the rules, and figuring out how to play within them.
I'm going to give a little bit different answer on this.
Good.
So I try to stay away from putting myself on time frames on when I want to get a payout and how much I want to make per day, right? Because I feel like if I do that and I don't hit that, then it's going to weigh on me a little bit because I had this target, I had this time frame, it didn't happen. Now I might try forcing something that I shouldn't force, right? And so I try to take the approach every day of I'm going to take what the market gives me, right? If I don't max out my consistency rule that day, I don't max out my consistency rule that day, right? If I make $200, I make $200. I usually try to stop, if I am in that $500 range, I usually call it a day. But at the end of the day, I want to take what the market gives me, right? Because not every day is going to be the same or treated the same.
I agree with that 100%. Just to clarify, I agree with that 100%. And
No, don't beef. Come on.
No. Because I'm honest. I'll be honest about it. I agree with that 100%. And my week is an example of that. Couple $100 red and green, even though I have these limits. But what I'm clarifying there is the upper limits, right? The upper limits to the upside and downside, I think, are important to have in place. But 100% trade your strategy, trade your approach, right? you're not going to say I'm DLL or personal daily profit target every single day, because you're probably going to be DLL more days than your personal daily profit target.
I hate the DLL. Every time you say DLL, I think like BBW. I don't know why. That's where my brain goes.
Daily loss limit, everybody. Personal daily profit target.
Yeah, not BBW. Different podcast. Different podcast. Sorry.
No. So, take what the market gives you 100%, stay within your strategy or approach. Don't push it that way. So I agree with that 100%. But again, the pre-planned upper and lower limits, I think, are really important with consistency rules.
So one thing I'm a fan of with the consistency rule is having calculating typically what is one of your best days and have that be the upper limit. A good example for me is 150K account, $2,000 day, very achievable for me. Not insane, not typically the reg. I'd say probably around 1,000, maybe 1,200 or whatever. So daily loss limit, I try to go for 50 to 60% of that max. Because if you end up having, let's say you have 2 max win days in a row, the next day you hit your daily loss limit, you're only down half of that, right? Mm-hmm. I think a big mistake a lot of traders make is they go, okay, full port consistency rule, and I have a 3750 daily loss limit built in. That's my daily loss limit. But if your consistency rule is, $2,000 like me, and I hit that full daily loss limit, it takes me 2 full days to make that back.
Correct.
And that hurts your mental capital more. And this kind of goes in the next thing I want to touch on real quick is the idea of trading prop accounts either super aggressively or modestly and trying to build it like a real trading account. And honestly, I've done both. And it is nice to take a big aggressive payout on when you are aggressive, but the mental capital when you're boom bust is so frustrating, and it can be mentally debilitating.
Unless you have a credit card with an unlimited limit like PW.
That's true. Yeah, you just swipe
and spend it. Right. And his mental capital is probably zero. You know what I'm saying? He don't care at all.
He has a lot of real capital.
He's got a lot of real capital.
Exactly.
Right.
So
what do you think about that? About the mental capital of the failure?
No, yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Especially if you go back to evaluation phases, right? If you blow a funded account.
What's that?
Yeah,
I don't even remember those at this point.
If you do challenge phases and you get a funded account, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna trade this aggressive. I'm gonna try to get a payout as quick as possible, build this account up, and then you end up getting a payout and then blowing it back to the eval stage, repeating the process, 3 times over. It's like that mental capital is spent. You're tired of it. Which that's where the straight to funded comes in. If obviously you can afford to get those.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've tried kind of both routes. Topstep, I burned through a lot more evals and and even XFAs than I'd like to admit. Getting really aggressive. I think the more conservative approach is going to fit better for most traders, especially starting out. Where I think guys can start to justify getting really, really aggressive and running through accounts is if you have something that's working really, really well, and you're essentially taking on more risk than the accounts can handle, you'll lose some on the way to larger and faster payouts. But again, I think that's at the really high end of the skill level that we see sometimes across social media. But for the most part, the more conservative approach, maybe if you're starting in a larger size instant funded account where you don't have to run through evals and spend that money, you can copy trade 3 off the bat. You trade that thing conservatively, you can do well, if you treat it right. And again, with the consistency rules, kind of takes away some of the sim farming, trade it super aggressively through evals and then super aggressively right off the bat, 15 NQ contracts, right off the open in a Topstep account. If, you can't put up more than 1,500, 2,000 before you want to take up, a modest payout. So there's a balance there. I'd say the really aggressive stuff, it serves its place in the sim environment, but you got to have some juice to start to do that. And if you don't, I think you're just gonna, you're really gonna end up burning through it.
Yeah, I also agree on the conservative side too, because I think as traders, we're not meant to have a career with prop firms, right? I think prop firms are there to give us an opportunity to be sufficient traders and to build a personal account. So I think if you treat prop firms as if you were trading your own account, that's going to bleed over into when you do start your own account and you do put that prop firm money into your own personal and start trading it, and that'll give you that edge.
It's a great transition into the live conversation. So let's talk about that. We can come back to the consistency rule. But no one's talked about being a live trader with these prop firms. I'm going to guess that that's probably because there's one firm right now, top one, that has a super simple path to live. Other firms have changed their path. It's kind of confusing. You guys have actually been trading, I think, futures prop longer than me. I started futures prop trading in February of last year. You guys have been trading.
I was right about that same time. A couple months after, I think, actually.
Yeah.
So when you look at this, as we have a year of data, basically, because we weren't really involved with Topstep and stuff before that. We were doing other things. in a year, has it become more clear to you that live is the path, or has it become more clear, like you just said, Joey, that you should be taking this sim farming stuff, sim land, and just starting your own capital, because there is no long-term career with a prop firm like you just said. So what's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think having your own personal account is the way to go at the end of the day, right? I mean, when you go live with prop firms, what's the incentive?
It's got to be good.
It's got to be good. You got to have something there that makes sense for the traders to trade live with you. Otherwise, it doesn't, because you're still giving up, a profit split. Some prop firms still have rules in their live accounts.
Yeah.
And
like
so,
Topstep has a consistency rule, right? In the live account.
Yeah. Yeah. They have the payout rule where you have to have it's still 5 days, I think is what
Even
it is.
in the live account.
And
I
even
didn't
in
know
the
that.
live account,
Well, I know Top One, has a little bit more of an aggressive payout split. It's only 80-20. So like if you have your own personal capital, right, you don't have to split
You
that
don't have to
profit with
split
anybody
that.
other than Uncle Sam.
Yeah. I don't understand. You got the taxes,
But you can kind of work that.
You can.
With futures trading, you can actually put yourself in a tax advantage account and stuff like that. So there are advantages.
Yeah, 100%. So I would say unless there's some major incentive to where you're, making more money in a live account with prop firms, I think it makes more sense to go with your own personal.
I think the thing is right now is there weren't any benefits to trading live with these firms, but now everyone is realizing, everyone's just trying to sim farm. So these firms are being smart finally and offering us incentives, right? Okay, if you get either bonus accounts. Like I know Top One is really working on that structure of you get bonus milestones as you keep making money in these live accounts. So it's more incentive to actually go live. And I think that is something the whole industry should start shifting towards more, because it kind of will get out of this gambler boom and bust.
Right, if you're
and,
taking people live,
and
you become almost like a real prop firm.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's a big thing that now we're starting to see more, which is a good direction, because you're starting to see all these firms come out with this stuff, right? Like Topstep finally just announced their bonus trader thing, and it's been so long now. It's I feel like they should have done that a long time ago.
Well, and they got a lot of flack, it seemed like, for that, because it wasn't money you can withdraw.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Make sure when you're looking at live programs, you're reading the rules, because
the small font.
It's all small font, but again, we're playing by their rules. But if you go live, and that's how it is. I'm a huge advocate of, if you are in a live account with Topstep or Top One, any of these brokers, you should be able to take daily payouts at that point. It's you made it that far. Yeah. Why would you have to go the fact that Topstep still does that? You have to sell 5 days consistently on a live account. It's dude, what's the point of a live account? This is just ultimate upgraded sim. Yeah, so it's it's still an XFI in my eyes. Yeah, it's real money.
Trademark that right there.
It's just
ultimate upgrade sim.
It's sim plus.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Sim plus. So
you heard it here first.
That doesn't in my head, I'm what kind of that doesn't make sense to me. I'm a live account, you should have full autonomy of what it is to trade a live account. Yep. So any restrictions in that case doesn't make sense.
Well, I'll tell you a story. When Top One was bringing Desi as their first live trader on, they were talking with him about what would he want as a live trader. And they built the live program in a lot of ways around what the trader wants. And I think that's a big thing. So I like firms like Take Profit, like Top One, that listen to the people and are like, what do you want? How do we make that easy for you? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I do think when you compare the model of old school live prop to now, the difference is really just that, live market and education. Very few props now care about educating their customer, because if their customer is too educated, what happens? It's not good for their P&L.
Yeah,
not unless they're taking them live.
Not unless they're taking them live.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you.
Go.
I agree with it, right? I agree with all of it. I think there's a clear differentiation between a bucket shop and an actual prop firm, where the goal is to get traders to live quickly. And again, we're biased here on a lot of it because we're partnering with different firms. But if you look at Top One, some of these other firms where they have a very clear and fast path to live, 3 payouts from the same account, you're considered, not guaranteed, but you're considered for a live account. You get kicked into that. There are some benefits that they're starting with: daily payouts, no consistency rule. So I think that in itself, when it comes back to picking a firm, are they taking traders live, right? Is there an incentive for them to get good traders to start to make money, or is it just this kind of back and forth bucket shop deal? But I also agree, got to have some good incentives for live accounts. And when it comes to what we're all doing, we all want to learn how to trade, right? And we want to be able to extend that skill set to a live account, whether that's in futures, equities, whatever it is. And the natural progression I think would be really nice for traders is they start to get more consistent, multiple payouts from the same accounts. They do get kicked live. And hopefully there is some incentive in that live account, but maybe at the same time, they're also funding their own live account. after they've learned, they've been able to leverage this excess capital with firms and been able to take payouts. But yeah, it's nice to see more firms getting to clearer paths to payout, clearer paths to live, faster path to live, and now really competing to start incentivizing that live. Because before
it was not like that.
doesn't
A
make
year
sense.
ago, it was not like
just
that.
wouldn't make sense. Pull your money out, you're done. If you're kicked to live, you can't come back. We get it, but now it's really the gear's been kicked up, which is cool. I love to see it. I think we need to get traders live, right? At the end of the day,
if you want the prop space to be legit.
Yeah, if you want this to be sustainable, right? Otherwise, it's just the bucket shop.
It's a gambling thing.
Yeah, and it turns into the firm's not for good traders. They are against guys making money. It's taking money strictly from losses and paying out these guys. But as you get guys like Desi to live quick, he crushed it. He's now in a live account. We can put money behind that, right? Yes. The firm can make money with him making money. They want him to do well. That's why there's no consistency rule, right? Daily payouts. They want to incentivize that. So I think that's the clear progression that that we're working towards, which all looks nice. I like it.
So then let's back up just for a second. Is copy trading something that we would recommend traders be doing? Because when you get to live for a lot of these firms, the copy trading basically stops, right? Of course, there's other, Tradeify has their merit accounts, Top One has their other copying, like there's other ways that they offer you scale. But I feel like copy trading is kind of controversial because some people, myself, since Top One has launched, I have not done any copy trading with them, but I know you guys have. So I'm agnostic in it. I don't have a side. I see the pro of it because you want to run up payouts, but I see that once you get to live, if that is your goal, it doesn't really matter. So what do you think about that?
I think if you have the skill set and you've already taken a payout, you absolutely should be copy trading.
So you think I'm being stupid?
Yeah,
because my 5K payout could have been 15.
I've been waiting to ask you, why the hell aren't you copy trading multiple accounts?
Literally, the only answer that is not even a good answer was just because I've been busy and I didn't set up the accounts.
You just have to literally click two buttons.
Yeah, I think it's take advantage, right?
Yeah,
man. I again, path to live, real trading. I don't want to go back on that, but at the same time, I've said if you're taking payouts from multiple prop accounts, in Simland still, it's real when it hits the bank. So there's no shame in that, man. Figure out how to play the game. And if you can leverage copy trading while you're still in Simland, right? While you're still working your way towards getting kicked to that live account, I'm all for that, right? I think it's out there for us. I just saw this morning, Project X opened up API access.
I know.
So that's breaking news for everybody. I don't know when this is going to air. But,
Yeah.
I think if you have the skill set also, again, back to the beginner trader. Should the beginner trader be copy trading 40 accounts with a trade copier? Absolutely not. No. But as you get more, experience, you have some consistency, you're taking payouts. Yeah, leverage that tool, that's available to you.
I'm waiting for one of you to say it. I can't believe the Jew isn't copy trading. Somebody's gonna comment it.
I want to emphasize an important part here, though. I think you should do it if you have something that's working for you, if trading is working for you, right? Because it's very easy to just burn through accounts when you don't have something work for you, and that bill racks up. You start copy trading 5 accounts that are $150 a pop, and you go through 20 of those.
$2,000.
Yeah,
$3,000.
You're blowing some cash. So
Yep.
I think you should really. I think the safe way of going about that is trade one account, get a payout, buy another one, get a payout, buy another one, get a payout, right?
And then you're rocking.
Yeah, and then you're rocking because then you're not really bleeding money out of your own personal bank account to load up these accounts, right? You're getting payouts, you're getting money in to then load up some more.
That's a safe route, but then you can also just full port 15 full-size NQ contract.
Look at the upside potential here, guys. Where's the copy trade?
20 full, yeah. And I think that's actually, so with Apex, that's their flashy thing is, you can trade up to 20 accounts. It's crazy. Kind of to tie back in the live thing real quick. I literally haven't heard of one trader on live. The only time I've ever even seen them offer it was to my client Manbir. When he took that $2.4 million payout.
Shout out Manbir.
Yeah, shout out Manbir. Took the $2.4 million payout, and I saw the email saying, do you want to take the full payout or go to live? And what's really interesting in my head, I'm like, number one, you better not even question that. Take the money and run, because what are they offering you with the live environment at Apex?
More opportunity to lose the money.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm like, there's no incentive to go live with them at all. Take the money, run, and go open a personal account at that point. So it's again, right? What is the firm offering you incentive wise to go live with them? Not just
bro,
we have your money.
Mbir's taking that money and he's buying half of India, bro.
Literally.
He's about to go stop the war with Pakistan with that money right now. Yeah, but you brought it up actually, the Apex, payout thing, because look at Kyle, look at Mbir. That's I had Kyle in the podcast here in this same studio a year ago.
Yeah.
So you got guys that are taking $4 million out of these firms
How
due
is
to
it
copy
sustainable?
trading.
But again, copy trading, it's available there. But again, that comes back to picking the firm and kind of understanding how, what the progression looks like of these firms. And I'd encourage people to go back and read Reminiscences of a Stock Operator.
Ooh,
It's a good one, really old
Jesse
book.
Livermore.
Jesse Livermore story.
RIP.
Super old, right? It's a fictional tale, but it really explains what bucket shops were back in the day. And again, I'm not saying all firms, that have paths to live are angels and they're not making considerable money from traders that are failing in sim world, and that's how some of that sim profit is paid out. But if there is no path to a live account, there is no alignment for a trader making money that will be good for the firm, I think there's just a really tough path as how that's sustainable.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we see a lot of tightening, a lot of, struggle to get these huge payouts, and the big sales after some of them, just kind of speaking honestly on what I see. So
Yeah, I agree.
that's my thought process.
Well, then speak honestly, because we're not doing our job if we don't talk about the top 1 rule changes.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? They've now done a couple, I think, like 2. It was one big one, and then they've kind of changed like one other small thing, it seems like.
Yeah.
Just a day ago.
Yeah. So I think from the beginning, right, Matt, CEO, came out really clearly and obviously biased here. I always like to mention that. Partnered with him. I think he came out really honestly and openly and said, listen, we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. I don't know exactly what the quote was. We're going to let you down. That's the only thing I can 100% promise you. And when we do, we're going to try to make it right. And what I saw them do was come out very, very aggressive on the front end. And they did have to reel that back in. And initially it was a rule change, not retroactive. They allowed a few days for people to, continue doing what they're doing. And now we've got a retroactive in those accounts, but the option to either be refunded or have your account reset if you're trading with one in drawdown. I think their goal is sustainability. I believe their goal is sustainability. And their initial goal, and again, part of a lot of these conversations, is not to come out and generate interest and then have to change a rule, right? Nobody wants to be doing any of this stuff. So I think the game plan here is just on focusing on sustainability and not turning into that model where now we're going to run more sales. We're not going to be able to get traders to live. We're way too aggressive. P&L is looking scary and we have to kind of, start to turn into this bucket shop. So I think the rule set from top 1, the change stuff, is still extremely aggressive. I think it's some of the best for instant funded in the industry. Is it fun when we have, changes that we have to deal with? No. But if the firm being upfront and honest about what they are, explaining why they're doing what they're doing, and are the changes fair as they possibly can be, where people are not being denied payouts in accounts that they've traded, where, we're not worried about an insane rule change where it's completely changing the structure of what we're doing and we're not offered any type of refund like I've been a part of in the Forex world more times than I can count. So for those reasons, yeah, it's not something fun to look at, but I think when you look at where it's coming from, the reasons behind it, and the firm communicating it really clearly, really like transparently, more so than I think they even need to, you can look at that firm for longevity. So I'm extremely bullish, more bullish than ever, partnered or not, on top 1. And again, I've had a lot of opportunity in the past to partner with different firms, Forex firms, and I'm cautious on what I attach my name to, right? So for those reasons, yeah, I'm still locked in, and I think they're doing the best they possibly can and still offering, again, like one of the most aggressive offers in the industry right now.
You want anything, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I speak pretty transparently about the whole prop firm space. And so as like kind of a different perspective on this, I like the transparency that Matt has had with top 1. I think, obviously like rule changes and retroactive rule changes, like none of that's fun. No trader wants to go through that. I think what I will say could have been done better was, I think we already have a model that's working, right? I think there is a model, a straight to funded model that's working right now in the industry. And I think that could have been probably followed, right? And that probably would have maybe avoided the rule changes, because they did come out aggressive. They came out with a very easy way to get payouts. And at the end of the day, is that sustainable for the company, right? But I also do, like I said, I believe that they're doing the right thing by making these changes and trying to adapt quickly and make it more sustainable for the company, but also trying to keep the traders at top of mind too. Like, how can we make these rule changes to where it's not detrimental, right? But also have sustainability into the company as well.
Do you think it's, before you go, sorry, do you think it's a little bit of hindsight though? Looking back on it now saying, oh, we were too aggressive. Like when you're trying to be aggressive, if Matt and Clay and the founders are sitting around the table and they're like, how do we make a name for ourselves? How do we storm the gates? Well, when you're being aggressive like that, it's easy in hindsight to be like, yeah, we were kind of too aggressive.
Yeah.
Right. So in the moment, you're not wrong at all. I just see from their perspective too of like, we want to win. So we're going to win and then we're going to fix it if we have to. That was the way I see what they did.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it is all hindsight, right? It's all hindsight.
I mean, no one is disagreeing that the $3,000 target was ridiculously too low.
It was really
that was
easy.
crazy. I mean,
really
for me
easy.
to take a payout, bro,
very, very quickly. I mean, we watched more and
faster
more.
than you and you.
Yeah, it smoked everybody. But no,
he beat me.
there you go. You did.
I was top
there you
five.
go, dude.
I was
Hell
top
yeah.
five.
For the
You
two
know
of
what I
us.
mean?
Yeah,
I
he was
love
first
it.
five. So,
There you go.
But I think I'm not
it was
disparaging myself. I'm just saying, like, I think that's crazy. 'Cause I'm a
Hindsight.
decent trader.
It was definitely too aggressive. Like far too aggressive, right? In hindsight, like obviously would have liked to not have to change any of these rules. I think that they had a really good game plan to make it very, very aggressive to get traders to live very quickly. But they did run themselves into a little bit of a problem by not requiring anybody to leave any buffer. So essentially, before this, what we saw, and again, this is traders playing by the rules, right? So it's not the trader's fault for playing by the rules. No. But we had a lot of guys, or what I would assume, right? And I saw it from my communities, right? Not from the back end, cleaning out accounts, right? So you trade to a $3,000, $4,000 payout, take it all out, rinse and repeat. That's not sustainable. You never get to a live account if that's happening. So I think that obviously in hindsight could have been tightened up, could have been maybe thought about a little differently, but
let's also not forget this space is still very new. And so especially the instant sim funding route. So they're not the first firm to change rules.
No.
Like it's like other firms,
is correct.
they've all done it because at the end of the day, it's navigating the waters. Like we don't know the exact numbers like of running the prop firm. We just trade,
the
right?
model we're talking about is a year old. The model that's working well is about, maybe a year old.
It's all data.
I'm going to just say me and the guy, one of the guys that's credited for starting that model, Mr. Simba, sat right over there and filmed that podcast that helped blow them up.
Yeah.
After we did that podcast, they still made some changes.
Yeah.
So I don't
All
know.
firms
I
have
don't
made
know
changes.
a firm.
All firms have
all
made
firms,
multiple,
yeah.
every single one under the sun.
Let me just, I think it feels a little bit, I guess, peanut gallery like when you sit on the outside and go, like not us, but when people sit on the internet and think their opinion matters and they go, you shouldn't do it this way. Well, then why don't you go start a company?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why don't you compete in the marketplace and win? And then your opinion
Well, I
will
think
maybe
it's
be
just
valued.
freedom of choice, right? If something is a red flag to you, you don't like what's happening, or you don't like the way that it's happening or why it's happening, there's no reason to trade with that firm, right? Like I haven't traded with many specific firms because I don't like what's happening there. And that's okay. We're all able to kind of make these choices for our own. That's what we should do. Do your own research, make your own, trading decisions.
I mean, it's just like we said earlier, we have an arsenal of prop firms to choose
There's a
from.
ton.
So
There's a ton, man.
you can choose. Yeah, you can choose.
Yeah.
Firms like Lucid, never heard of them. I'll give names, I don't care. Bullinex, never heard of them. Blue Sky, Lawrence's with all these firms. I never heard of them.
Yeah.
I thought there was Blue Guardian. Now there's Blue Sky and Blue Guardian.
Yeah.
What about Red Sky? Yeah. Red Guardian.
I've never
And
heard
again,
of Red Sky,
and everyone changes the dude. Look at Topstep, bro. Like they went from like 2-step challenges to like now just 1 step, and then 50% rules. They're considering changing that to like removing consistency rule or adding it to like XFAs. So it's like the rules are ever changing based on their business and their numbers. And again, find a firm with rules you like that makes sense to you, and definitely look at how much they're paying out and how fast.
How much do we value though what you brought up, which is that I don't even know what the CEO of Apex looks like.
Yeah, no.
I've never seen a forward-facing rule change from them. The only rule change they ever did was like a note typed on a phone, screenshot and post, and I was like, I can't read this. This is so long, it's so unorganized. So I think if there's going to be changes, I'd rather it be from a company where at least the CEO comes out, like you said, Matt does his videos and everything. That's, I think, the better way to handle it, because let's not play games. You could spin a rule change as a marketing ploy and people would never know. Certain people. You could play games. But in today's day and age, we all talked about this, people buy people, they don't buy products.
Exactly.
And Matt gets that. And that's why I aligned with them, because I believe Matt understands what the consumer wants, which is authenticity, transparency, not Gucci shirts, not flashy stuff, not what was the thing that Tradeify was tweeting about? Solana coin, none of the meme coins, none of that stuff. They just want payouts.
Yeah. Again, I think it's the face behind the brand, right? You're people by people. You're looking at who's in charge of running this, which I think is important to a degree. And not just the person, but how is their communication, right? And you look at someone like Matt coming from this firm who is in the email. So I was talking about being more transparent almost than it needs to be, talking about like what the percents of behind the scenes things look
never
like.
Hear that?
It's
from other firms.
Yeah, it just opens up a ton. But he's like, it's all out in the open. Like, here's what we're trying to do, guys. Give you guys a great opportunity. If it's not for you, if you feel that we're making too many mistakes or whatever it is, I think that opportunity is for guys can pump the brakes. But I look at that again is why I'm so bullish on it. Not only do I know who it is, I get, the constant updates from him on rule changes, very, very forward facing, explaining what's going on, why it's going on,
So you take care of your people and you get to them like that, or you drop all of your affiliates for no reason and kill the people that help build your business. There's two takes here. And like, I think, I know for a fact, Matt and the guys that are running Top One are not paying themselves because it's a new company. I don't know many people that could do that. With the amount of money that I think they're probably making in these first couple of months, I don't know many people that could see that money coming in and not take any of it. That says a lot, in my opinion. Long-term vision. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, and again, it goes right back to like they're crushing it, right? Huge launch. We see the numbers on Payout Junction at the top of that Payout Junction for a bit. Big revenue, which they talked about. They don't need to change the rules. They could run it up to the moon and everybody does great until it collapses or it, is no traders to live. So I think that's telling to me. Again, everybody's going to read this stuff differently. They're going to create their own narrative.
But wait, what matters more, bro? Rule changes or payouts and customer support? Because what did we start this podcast with? You said it, support. Yeah. Support. Yep. So if the firm is delivering on what they said, which you said was, Matt said, we're going to screw up and we're going to fix it and tell you about it. We're going to have the best customer support and the fastest payouts. If they deliver on all three of those things, like that's Absolutely. Like I relate it to making fun of me because I'm short. Like I can't change it. It's the way I am. Yeah. But you're not making fun of me for being a scammer because there's no scam. Yeah. You're not making fun of me for stealing money because I'm not stealing money. You know what I'm saying? So you can't pick at something that's actually a controllable thing that you intentionally tried to hurt people with. And that's why I think Top One is crushing. Like you said, top of Payout Junction. That's crazy.
Wild.
That's crazy.
Wild.
So let's get back to just challenges in general. With the payouts, are you guys always reinvesting your payouts into more accounts, or have you guys opened personal capital yet? Are you guys trading personal capital yet?
So I still trade options on the side. So I'll like take some of that money, put it in an options account. And I'm a big fan of just protecting my risk because I know where I come from initially in the options world. And I used to be the type of person where like I loaded up the 25K account, started burning through it, and I was like, oh wait, I need like a safety net. This is like way too aggressive.
My man's got his rent money in the Fidelity account.
I remember back in the day calling Thinkorswim and being like, can you set a lockout feature on my account? And they were like, no, we can't do that.
No, we will take all your money.
Yeah, we'll take all your money. And I was like, okay, crap. So I had to learn my own risk parameters initially of being like, okay, I'm gonna have a cash account. I'm gonna have like the max amount of money I would trade with in a single day and never let myself potentially blow that, because the amount of times I would push past that and be like, oh my God, I just burned $3,000 or like I just burned $4,000 or something like that. No. So with reinvesting profits, I don't really look at it like that in the sense of like getting new prop accounts. Like, oh, now I can buy this one. I just kind of just go with the flow of like.
So you're just trading the account hard until you take a bunch of payouts on it, or until you bust it and then you buy another one?
Yeah, pretty much. And it depends again, like what firm I'm trading with or which ones, because I do try all these firms. And like I have an account right now with TickTickTrader. I literally started it. Know what that is. Yeah, exactly. It's like this other like straight to funded thing. I don't like their rules, but I started it before Top One because I was like, oh, cool. They did offer Project X. And I've taken 3 payouts from them and the account's up over like $22,000, and I'm like, I don't even want this.
The accidental wins.
So it comes back to the accounts that you care about the least, that you have the least amount of pressure on.
I'm like, dude, I'm up $22K in this account. I've already taken 3 payouts, and I'm like, I wish this was with a different firm. Honestly.
Well, they say when you don't care about the money comes, right?
Exactly. Yeah, but like that. I mean, that firm they take 20% off the top of your initial payout, which I hate that thing in general.
Even in instant fund, they're not in live.
In instant sim fund, literally, yeah. So the max payout you can take is $3,000. But
most firms, it's like up to a certain amount. Like once you cross 15K or something, then they start taking.
For sure, no, they do it off the bat, 80-20. So it's like you request $3K, but you only get $2,400, and I'm like, that's just okay, whatever. So I don't like that. But.
Is Tradeify like that?
I don't. Are they initially?
I don't know. I think they're profit split off the rip as well.
I think they are.
I haven't taken payouts from Tradeify.
I think it's 90-10.
It's 90-10.
90-10. I think it is like that.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And 90-10.
I like it better where it's like up to 20K.
But the live accounts, when you have the merit accounts, it's different.
It's different.
I think it's like on the merit accounts, if I remember right, which don't quote me, I think it's 70-30 on the
I mean, it could have
merit
changed by
accounts.
now anyway, by the time they see this video. Oh, everybody go read your FAQs, please.
Yeah.
Do not just take our word for
Yeah,
it.
literally,
Shit
yeah.
changes every day.
But
What about you? Are you trading
it is
personal
lower.
capital?
I am, yeah.
Nice.
So I am diversifying my payouts. So I set some back for taxes, I let some pay me, and then obviously I fund a personal account. So the goal for me this year is to be more in a personal account than in prop firms. I'm really trying to make that transition. I will still trade prop firms, but at the end of the day, I like the freedom in my personal account. I like to know that I can run this thing up. If I get in good trades, I can hold it. If it's still running, I can hold it into tomorrow, right? And really capitalize and not have to worry about consistency rules. I can take a payout at the end of the week if I want to. I have absolutely no restrictions unless I blow my live account.
That's
right?
so true. I kind of forget about that you could swing trade the contracts overnight, bro.
Yeah.
Honestly, one thing I really like doing is when you take money from the prop account and you're building your personal account, is only taking really good setups in that personal account. Because with me with options, I used to intraday trade options all the time. And then eventually I had to get even more specific because I learned most of my edge came from like trading earnings setups with options. So then when I switch over to intraday trading futures, I'm like, oh, I can find my bread and butter every day, my pullback to VWAPs, trade that, make my cash flow. And then now with options, it's like I have like this loaded up gun to be like,
when
okay,
earnings
when to
comes.
unshit it. Like yesterday, or like yesterday, like huge, or on
2 days ago.
on Thursday, like I saw a really good opportunity. I was like, I need to load up some SPX 0 DTE on this and rip it. And I did. And I made like $3,500 on the trade. And it's like not 3,500 sim, like 3,500 real cash. And I'm like, let's fucking go. There's my rent. Like,
100%.
Yeah. And I think the huge win on personal accounts too is like it's your money. There is absolutely nobody else in control of it. Right. You're not doing a profit split. You're not requesting a payout from somebody else, wondering if you're going to get denied or not. Right.
For 20 days.
For 20 days. Right. You're not waiting 5, 10, however many days to get that money. It's you get to request that payout from yourself and take that money for you instead of waiting for somebody else to send it to you.
100%.
Yeah. So I'm not trading live futures accounts, investment brokerage, stock on the side. I've been on this prop firm journey, man. So I came from trading live Forex accounts, US regulated, larger size live Forex account with a lot of capital in it. And once I really set the focus on leveraging that prop capital, making it work within those rules, coming to futures, I really stayed on that. So I really haven't been funding a futures account. It's definitely something I'm going to look at in the future. But my goals, I think, would be to get more consistent with payouts and then hopefully get kicked to a live account, get that nice achievement. And then from there, I think at that point, definitely be funding my own futures account. But I do the stock thing on the side. Some of us got options. It's always usually something on the side outside of just the prop.
I had a guy at from the Black Shirt Club. He was at the seminar, Chuck. He said to me that like he's doing well financially from his other job. Thankfully, I attract guys like you guys do that they have other jobs. They're getting paid pretty well, but they want to learn how to trade. Sometimes I'm sure you've encountered these guys. They come in and they don't have a goal. He's like, I don't really care to make money. Like my family's fine. Like we're good. I just want to learn this. He came out of the seminar and said to me, my goal is to get a live account. He's like, I finally feel like I have something to work towards that's not just financial, but then rewards me for like an understanding of the game. Yep. I like guys like that they just want to win the game. They don't need the money right away. They want the game.
Yep.
So for the live account as like the carrot for some new traders that don't have the same experience that we all have, I think it is a really cool goal to work towards because I mean, ask my wife. $48,000 gone in a year and a half when I started trading. She saw it. She was with me through that. She probably would say I would have been much better off trading a prop account, spending 20 grand learning on, I mean, dude, how many accounts could you buy for 20 grand? I got to ask PW. He could do the math.
Yeah, no, it's setting those goals, man, right? Now, I don't fall into the same category as some of those guys at the seminar that have done really, really well, but I'm grateful to have done well outside of trading to come to trading with capital. But that can be a drawback, right? Because you get into big size live accounts and all of a sudden there's a lot on the line as you're learning. But I think it's important to set those goals. So again, I've kind of set my sights on the prop deal. I love leveraging other people's capital, limiting downside risk. I see the upside potential being massive with copy trading and then getting kicked to live accounts. So that's kind of the sights, right? And I think it's important to, whatever that is for you and for whatever reason, set your sights on something and kind of stick with it as you go.
So if you had to go back to when you first started prop, because we were all trading before prop stuff, what would you tell yourself when you first got into prop trading? How would you maximize and make more money now?
I would tell myself to slow it down and not be as aggressive. That's for sure.
Were you torching them?
Oh, initially, yeah, just ripping through them. I think my first couple I didn't. I was a little bit more. I remember like when I first got funded with Topstep, I was like, oh my gosh, I did it. Everything is cured. And then of course, you're like, oh, I made it.
I got the certificate.
Yeah,
We're
dude,
done. On the frame.
Oh, yeah.
I framed mine. I was like, dude, this is sick.
Yeah, I remember
Torched.
like grinding also like to finally get funded with like TickTickTrader also. And I remember I got funded with all their accounts, and once you start doing the math thing, you're like, okay, well, if I can make this much this day and do this much, I could do 50 grand a month. I could do that. I could do that consistently all the time. And then you like forget like, no, you're going to screw up and have some red days or blow some accounts here and there. And so I think if I had to go back to the very beginning of it, I would tell myself like, get the biggest account, trade probably with the smallest amount you can, and really learn it like that. Like you can make some good money just trading micros. Like honestly, like there's a client right now, Lawrence is coaching him under strong trading, and he traded 2 micros this whole week on MNQ, and I think he did like over 2 grand on the week just trading 2 micros. And people think, oh, I need 2 full-size minis, or like, and it's like, no, you can make some good money, and it's just all about the setup.
You don't have to be big tick energy with 2 contracts like Isaac. You can be little tick energy with the 2. But you talk about this all the time. So would that be similar to the advice you'd give yourself when you started, to just go slow, size down?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I first started prop firms, I was with Topstep. Right? I was trading with Topstep, and I was like, man, like I can get a quick ROI on these
I think that's
accounts.
how I found you, bro.
Yeah,
I saw you making videos for that.
Yeah. I was like, man, like these are super cheap accounts. Like I can run these up, get huge ROIs. I was like, and I really wanted to go like full throttle on these things. And what I found was I was blowing more accounts than I wanted to, right? But lately I really slowed things down, right? I really started focusing on taking small base hits. I'm cool with 10 points, 10 to 15 points. A lot of people come at me like, oh, you're getting excited over 10 points. But it's like, I'm getting more payouts taking these 10 points than I was when I was trying to go for home run trades. Right, I'm getting more payouts taking small base hits, and so if I could go back, that's exactly what I would do. I would size down, take those small base hits, and let them add up because they add up super fast.
But what's crazy is that people are telling you you're wrong. 90% of people lose money, so that tells you you're probably doing the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Once I broke free of like that 1-to-1 risk reward, which we'll talk about later, like you break free of these ideas that you believe when you get into trading, like indicators don't work.
Yeah,
that's not true. You just got to know how to use them, right? You break free of those ideas, you put yourself on the 10%, not on the 90%. It's good advice. What do you got?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of in the same boat, man. Just slow it way down, right? It's going to take a long time, a lot longer than you think. You're going to have to lose before you start to gain some consistency. And a good question that somebody asked me when I was, kind of getting aggressive and complaining about it: would you trust you to do what you're doing? Would you trust yourself, given your track record and where you're at right now, to manage your money and trade the way that you're trading? And usually the answer is no. We definitely would not. We're too aggressive with it. So I think it would be size down, slow down, focus on one challenge account at a time, try to build that slowly. There's plenty of time to scale. There's almost an unlimited option to scale now. That's out there. Why would you put more risk on the line and start to cut into your capital if you come to trading with capital, or just to put more stress on yourself until you have some consistency? And I was guilty of that, as well as many of them, losing money in live crypto accounts, losing money in Forex accounts till you start to grab some traction. Come over to Forex, blow some Forex firms, but come to Topstep and you're like $19 combines. Back in the day, I was like loading up on those, and you start doing the math, you look at the upside potential. All I got to do is trade them this way, and you rip through them. And next thing you know, you're losing way more than you'd like. And I think again, it comes back to learning how to actually trade, right? Developing an edge in the market, solid risk management that you can scale with copy trading across firms or in live accounts. Like that's the goal. So start slow, limit the tuition that you have to pay, and then scale. You can always scale. You can always raise the tightrope for the Tom Hogarth tightrope example.
Great example.
Yeah.
Oh, I got something. I can't say it on the camera, but I'll tell you guys later. with
It's
Tom.
like 90% of everything.
No. With Tom. No, with Tom. Don't let me forget.
Yeah, I'll tell that example real quick.
Yeah.
I probably talked about it on our podcast, but I love the example. If you wanted to walk across a tightrope in between 2 buildings, you wouldn't put the tightrope in between 2 buildings and walk across it and fall off and die. You'd put it in between 2 trees where it's an inch off the ground, risk is very, very low, and you'd walk back and forth it a million times till you were perfect. Then you'd slowly raise it up as you increased risk. Not much changes, but things start to change, right? Palms get sweaty, your knees get weak. It's the same thing that you're doing, but now we got more risk on the line. The same thing goes for trading. Stop putting the tightrope in between 2 buildings and falling off and dying. Put it between 2 trees, walk across it a bunch of times, and then start to slowly raise it up. it just makes sense. And again, us as traders, like the example of, trying to be a doctor and go right into the emergency room. I talk about that all the time. Like we're trying to be surgeons on like, month 6 and we're just murdering patient after patient. Like, come back to the cadaver, dude, chill out.
Right.
And then once you knock it out a few times there, then jump into the emergency room. But, again, there's no barrier. There's a very, very low barrier for entry. The upside potential is right in our faces, and it can be really hard to hold ourselves back up until we have some consistency and then start to scale.
I want to add too, like the earlier you can build good habits in the sense of my favorite thing to this day now, especially being about 6 years into trading, is my one and done days. One good trade, done, go, fuck off, do whatever else the rest of the day.
Beach,
like
sun,
whatever. Just like
the reason we got into this.
The reason. I think a lot of people forget, like they just want to sit there all day and press buttons. But I'm like, dude, if I crush my first trade, especially I'm on the West Coast, crush my first trade, it's like 6:50, 7 a.m. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna go grab a coffee right now. I'm gonna go get some breakfast and like I got some time, before I do other stuff in the day. Yeah, right.
Got all day.
Exactly, got all day. So
you're living that life that you wanted to live when you got into it. So that's why it feels so rewarding.
In the beginning, though, obviously you're trying to learn. It's exciting. You want to press the buttons. You want to try this, try that. I remember when I first started to learn props, and this was coming from me already being profitable with options. Like I started over trading so heavy.
Yeah.
I remember one day I took like. I kid you not, probably 80 trades. Wow. And I was so mentally fried. I'm just like, I laid down in the middle of my room at the time, just looking at the ceiling. And I'm like, I'm never gonna be able to do this. And then eventually, you slow down, you go back into the one and done type mentality. And even to this day, dude, like I have some of my best clients right now, literally they take 1 to 2 trades a day and they're really consistent with it. And that builds the discipline. Because if you could take the one trade and you're wrong on the day, and you just walk away, you live to trade another day and you just keep going. But it's really hard for people to do that, obviously, like even myself included. I probably can't just do one. If I can do one and done, it's a really good trade, but depending on my entry, I'll do 2, 3, 4 attempts even maybe. But after that, I know I'm like, all right, this is starting to go down the rabbit hole.
So know your limits.
Yeah, know your limits.
What do you think about too? Like how many opportunities is the market actually presenting in a single day, right? Is it presenting 10 to 15 A+ setups a day? Probably not. Like you're probably only going to get maybe 1, 2, 3 A+ setups. And after that, you're hunting. Right, you're hunting, and that's when you get yourself into trouble. It's because you start hunting these setups, thinking you see something when it's not really there. And then you take the trade, it's red, you go on tilt, you're like, man, I got to get this back because I just gave up some gains. Then you go on another trade, it's red, you go on tilt even heavier before you know it, your account's blown.
Now burn it. Now 2 trades down, burn the account.
Burned. Yeah.
Green to red on the day is the worst feeling ever.
But when you can get good at going green to red and stopping, like I've had days like you complimented me recently. Yeah. You saw me on that reel. I fat fingered in with 5 minis instead of 5 micros, ate the $200 loss, and in the same reel I made the money back. I try to show that because like when you get to the point of taking the small loss as well or taking the mistakes well, taking the red days well, the next green day because you've had them, it makes up for it. So you don't want that big red day on the calendar. One more question. Why have you guys not started prop firms yourself? Some people watching this might think we are owners in different prop firms, which we are not. Unfortunately, I would love the equity if anyone wants to throw some. But why did you guys decide to be affiliates and push it through your own trading instead of start your own prop firm? Because you easily could have. We all could have.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, like I did the research myself just to look at it. But number one, I don't have any experience in that world, right? Like I would be doing, I think, traders a disservice if I just came in with zero experience in this world that I'm looking to put a lot of risk and liability in my hands. Number one. And number two, I think there's just so many great options from companies available out there right now that unless you are going to, really look to carbon copy something or just white label something altogether, it would kind of be an overlap. But yeah, I think it's a lot of capital, a lot of risk. And again, I think it's got to be coming from somebody with some experience, right? Again, we look at Top One. They are, not a lot of people know this because they just know Top One futures, but they came from Top One Trader, right? You've worked with them for a long time. They had a Forex CFD firm, millions of dollars in payouts for a long period of time. Me hanging out, we always joke like the kid in the basement in the hoodie, like, oh, white label a prop firm and make $1 zillion. Like, it's just not something that I have any experience in doing, and would not want to put that type of liability on myself or, risk everybody else's money, right? That's investing. So
yeah, I think for me is I am looking to have other business ventures in different areas, right? I think, I'm looking heavy into real estate, other business opportunities. And so, having a business like a prop firm in the trading space isn't really something I want to do. Like I enjoy being a trader. I enjoy creating content. I feel like I've done well with it. And so being able to take that and then diversify, like I've mentioned multiple times, and put it into other avenues, right? I think is something that I'm wanting to do more so than just hang around the trading space.
Well, dude, you made me, it's a great thought, because I'm like, we got into trading, like you just said a second ago, for the freedom to be done trading by 10 o'clock and then go to the beach and hang out and do whatever you want to do. None of us got into this business thinking I'm going to trade, become an affiliate, and then start my own prop firm. So that was never in the cards.
Yeah, and I also don't want to be like a trader forever. You know what I mean? Like
or just a trader.
Yeah, or just a trader forever. Like I want to have something that's outside of trading that, you know, I want to grow and just kind of build my own empire with. You know what I mean? Like that's real estate. I think it's something that I'm very passionate about. And
what are you buying?
Honestly, I love
trailer parks. Bro, I know a guy that flips trailer parks.
Really?
Bro, he buys distressed trailer parks from old owners, and he's crushing it.
Nice.
Bro. There's so many niches in real estate, just like trading. So that's why I'm curious.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
For me, apartments. Okay. My family actually owns apartments.
Oh, sick.
And so it kind of runs in the family. A little
that's
bit.
awesome.
And so for me, obviously I'm gonna start off small, getting duplexes here and there, but eventually leading into the apartment complex side of things, to where you can really scale into a bigger opportunity.
100%. What about you, buddy? Why have you not started a prop firm? Strong prop.
Yeah, strong prop trading. I just have zero desire, dude. I've never even like thought about it because it's just not something that really interests me. I'm a trader at heart. Like it's like I do think I'm going to be trading forever, but I also am an entrepreneur at heart as well. So I love side businesses. You know, I love building stuff around that. Like I honestly love making content. Like even us just filming this right now, I'm like, dude, this is sick.
You're great at it.
I love making videos, and that is something where I like leaning into that as much as I can. And then also, you know, educating and helping. And I think I want to touch on something because I don't think this is talked about enough. People always ask in this space, like, oh, if you're crushing at trading, then why are you selling this course or selling, you know, coaching or selling this? And it's like, who's going to teach you anything unless someone does something like that? You need to go read a fucking book about like, you know, about trading and get everything from it. Like, no. So it's like, whenever I hear people online, I'm just like saying that stuff. I'm like, okay, then no one would learn about anything anywhere. It's like, you know, so that's why stuff like this exists. And like for me, I don't do the course thing. I've never done a course because I come from a personal training background. And I was like, okay, how can, you know, I provide value in the space of what do I know? And even with like the coaching that I do, like strong trading, we don't like spoon feed anyone. Here's this magic strategy. You're going to make $1 billion doing this. Like, dude, I teach back-end processes. I'm like, all right, you want to learn how to journal. You want to learn how to do the review. You want to learn how to build good habits and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm good at teaching that because I went through a lot of that in the learning curve and was grateful and lucky enough to learn from some great people like Lance Brightstein and like some other mentors. And I'm like, cool, I know about that. I know about it very well. And I have proven that I can help people with it. So it's like, that's why I have that desire to do that. But yeah, starting a prop firm, I'm like, no, not in the cards.
I just think that it's sad because people sometimes have not been positively impacted by coaches in their lives. So they think coaching is not needed. I have stuff in my office that's framed from coaches that have helped me in my life. You know what I'm saying? I feel blessed that coaches have made an impact on me. And then when you have that, like you do, you feel obligated to return it. And once you're getting good at something, how amazing is it when you can take somebody and instead of taking them $48,000 in 5 years to get somewhat good at it, I can take Randy in his first year and Randy's already profitable in his business. And he feels that this could be something he does for a longer period of time. You guys know Randy from the seminar. So it's like, when you get the reward from that, you have enough of that. Like I got all my reviews on Trustpilot and everything. It makes all those people shut up a little bit because you see they just haven't had that. They haven't invested in themselves yet. They never had a coach in their life. In sports even. All of my coaches that I'm referencing are sports or teachers or like business coaches. It's not trading. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have a couple of people like Brian Shannon who would be mentors to me and stuff in trading, and it's made a huge impact. So it's there too, but it's like, God, it is such a closed-minded perspective to be like, why would you be creating multiple streams of income and building true wealth for your family? Just be a trader. Like that's just so close-minded to say to somebody. It's sad.
It depends on your desire too. You know, sorry to cut you off, but like some people want to just be traders, right? They want to do the actual like proprietary trading firm experience, S&B Capital type stuff.
They want to be an
Trillium.
employee.
Yeah, they want to do that. And like those guys make insane money,
Yes,
like really
but they're
good money.
employees.
But that's what they do. That's
They're
their
not
full thing.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah, again, it depends on your desire. My desire isn't to sit behind a trading desk for 8 to 10 hours and not have anything else I can do. And to touch on the coaching mentor thing real quick. I am such a big advocate of that in all areas. I'm not even going to talk about trading right now. Like, I've had a powerlifting coach for 9 years.
Right.
I've never not had a powerlifting coach.
Right.
Because it's a huge part of my life. And trust me, I know how to program. I know how to do my macros. I know like all these variables, dude. There's not like too much now, like where a powerlifting coach gives me something special. It's more just like peace of mind going like, okay, I don't have to think about this, or like, you know, they're giving me the formula. It's accountability for me to keep going. Cool. I'm going to stick with it. So I've never even thought about never having a coach 100%. In any of that.
Mentors are important. I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't have a mentor. And I'm sure if he sees this, Ashton, shout out my boy Ashton.
Shout him out.
But I mean, and this is not even the trading space. Like I worked in marketing for a marketing company, and I was a B player, dude. I was a B player, and I had Ashton. He was my mentor. He helped me, coach me through a lot of things, and turned me into who I am now. Right. So it's like, mentors are important. Like, they can really fast track.
But that's what I'm saying, bro. It's so sad for people to think you don't need good coaches. You don't need good. Then you'll stay where you're at. I'm going to keep growing and keep getting more attention, more haters, because they want what we have. People will only talk shit to project their own insecurities. That's really what it is. They talk shit about Zach's streams because they can't stream as good as Zach. They talk shit about my courses because they don't believe they could build a course. And all the difference is I believed I could. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. No, I agree across the board, man. I think if you look at any top professional athlete, right? Like, there's like 4 coaches in their corner, right?
God,
I was watching the Olympics, right? And this was a good example. Someone actually made the example to me first. I'm watching the Olympics, and these are the Olympic athletes that are setting a record here, right now.
Yep.
They're going back to their corner and they're getting feedback, right? They have a feedback loop created through coaches. They're getting critiques from a set of coaches, right? So I think, a lot of it just gets a bad rep, right? There's some bad actors and just, tough stuff in this space. But look to people that are where you want to go, people that resonate with you, and lean on them. Continue to learn.
They'll usually
right? Like,
turn around and give it to you.
Yeah, like, and that's something like I definitely held that when I was younger. Like, I had this ego, right? Like, you can't ask for help, right? If you know it all and you're this person, like, you can't have a coach. You can't be that person.
A lot of traders go through that.
And I went through that for sure. And awesome. Like, Austin, you were a part of kind of opening that up, like just saying, hey man, let's talk, let's collaborate, let's do a lot of this stuff. But where I am now, like, I'm sitting at the, at the Tampa event talking to Isaac, like, we're game planning, and as he's kind of helping on a couple things, we're touching on, trade management styles, things like that. He hops on and talks about all of the coaches that he has, right? Like, so it's not this, never ending, you have to be coached, but there's always something to learn. There's always feedback to be given. And if you keep this open-minded student of the game, like, I'm not the best in the world. I don't have all the answers. I don't have it all figured out. I repeat that stuff
curious
all the time. Like, if you're looking for that person, it's definitely not me.
Right.
But if you stay a student of the game, open, not to strategy hop, not to go shiny object syndrome, but to be ever improving and grabbing onto new people's perspectives around you that are on the same journey and maybe ahead of where you are, huge benefit.
Forever a student.
Dude, you close yourself off to that, you are only hurting yourself.
Well, you got me thinking. I'm like, imagine if you took everybody's course. You came to ASFX TV, took mine, took Evans, took PW's course. You think you'd be worse off? Like, you think you wouldn't have learned something to do and then maybe a bunch of stuff of what not to do?
There's always one takeaway. Like, it's like,
even if it's what not to do.
Exactly. There's always one takeaway.
I remember I was at my first big job that I had. I was a DJ. We would do these big parties. I remember standing in this ballroom once going, this is the most unorganized load-in we've ever had, which is stupid. But I remember thinking to myself, I'm learning what not to do. Yep. If I was the boss here, I wouldn't do it this way. So if you have that perspective in life, I think you always will move forward. You always like stay relevant. 100%. Yeah. Boys, this was epic.
Yeah, it was sick. That was good.
People, tell us what you think in the comments. If you like the foursomes,
Pause.
If you like, if you like the collaboration type podcast, of course, let us know in the comments on YouTube and everything. Make sure you subscribe to all of their stuff. I will put links for all that in the description so you guys can connect with the boys. Make sure you stay up to date on everything they're doing. But guys, thank you so much. I mean, this is like the end a little bit to our 2 weeks of fun. The seminar, now the podcast. Now we go into hibernation for a little bit.
Dude, shout out, bro. Shout out Austin, right? For putting all this
together. Absolutely.
The seminar, the podcast, everything, bringing all the traders together too, like across the globe at that, man. You had people from different countries
100%
coming out here. So,
thanks,
I mean, that's huge, bro. That's huge.
Big stuff coming, everybody. We'll be cooking. Like I said, we're going to go into hibernation. Next event, probably Q1 of next year. Just mark it. End of this year, beginning of next year. That's when we'll be cooking again. So thanks, everybody. Make sure you're subscribed, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.